My name is Kevin Shivers, and I am the State Director of the National Federation of Independent Business. We're Pennsylvania's leading business organization for small and independent businesses across Pennsylvania. I'd like to welcome you here to the Pennsylvania Leadership Conference. Our next speaker I'd like to introduce is Jake Corman, a state senator who was elected in 1998 and represents the 34th district in Pennsylvania, which includes 5 counties in the heart of central Pennsylvania. Senator Corman chairs the powerful Senate Appropriations Committee, and in his role as chairman, he has fought Governor Rendell's myriad tax increase proposals, pushed for lower spending, and greater fiscal restraint. His philosophy is pretty simple. He believes that state government should live within its means, just as Pennsylvania families do. Senator Corman also has led the fight for lawsuit abuse reform. He is the author this session of Senate Bill 2, a bill that repeals the unfair legal doctrine of joint and several liability that personal injury lawyers use to seek out deep pocket defendants. And when Governor Tom Corbett signs Jake's bill into law later this year, he'll be able to hang it next to the one that Governor Rendell vetoed back in 2006. Senator Corman continues to be an advocate for ways to develop Pennsylvania's workforce and strengthen the state's economy. His steadfast commitment to revitalizing business and industry in the Commonwealth has resulted in the creation of thousands of good-paying, family-sustaining jobs. Boy, you think that's a resume somebody might want to consider running for the United States Senate. With that, Senator Jake Corman.
Is that yours? I was just going to make it a big announcement here that we found a phone, but apparently it's been claimed. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for Kevin, first of all, for a very nice introduction. Thanks for everyone. If this was a beautiful April afternoon, I would wonder why we're all sitting in here and talking public policy and politics and things of that nature. But since it's pouring down rain, and the only thing I can say, we must have a lot of May flowers because April has certainly been wet here in central Pennsylvania. But I'm glad to be here. Glad that you gave me the opportunity to spend a few moments with you. This is, as Kevin mentioned, I'm the appropriations chairman. This is my 3rd year. And I think I am the only appropriations chairman in the history of the Commonwealth that has spent his entire career as a chairman, this is now my 3rd, as I said, trying to figure out ways to spend less money as opposed to more. When I became chairman in November a couple of years ago, that's about the same time that the recession hit, and obviously the revenues to the Commonwealth plummeted. And as Kevin mentioned, we spent the last 2 years dueling with the former governor as he wanted to expand spending and taxes during that period of time, and we wanted to reduce them and also or at least contain the level of spending so we did not have to increase taxes on the people of Pennsylvania. See, I'm a big believer that the public sector is only there because it's funded by the private sector. And so therefore, when the private sector is going through a recession, as we have been, clearly, by definition, the private sector has less money. And so therefore, the public sector needs to reflect what the private sector is living through. And so that's why the last 2 years we've passed budgets that actually spent less than we did in 2008. And one thing I can tell you about this year's budget process, we're going to spend a lot less than we did the year before. So that's going to continue the trend here in Pennsylvania. Now, this has been obviously a challenge because a lot of people will come to state government and are interested in different programs, different spending levels in Pennsylvania government. And so, it is also an opportunity for us, an opportunity to figure out, in the past, we've always used economic development, ways to attract businesses, ways to attract organizations to come to Pennsylvania by how much we could subsidize them. I mean, even Republican and Democrat administrations, the economic toll was money, whether it be a tax break for a short period of time, whether it be incentive dollars, whatever it may be, it was some sort of incentive to get you to come to Pennsylvania to do business. The problem with that theory and that philosophy is eventually the subsidies go away. And then as Bill Parcells would say, eventually you are who you are. And if you have a high tax rate, if you have a high regulatory environment, if you have a government that's not easy to deal with, then you're not going to be a very advantageous place to locate your business. And let's face it, when it really comes to the end of the day, no matter what problem we're trying to solve in state government, whether it be education, whether it be social welfare, whatever it may be, whether it be environmental spending, all that is reliant on good jobs in Pennsylvania. Because if we don't have good jobs in Pennsylvania, we don't have revenue in Pennsylvania. So we need to have a climate where businesses can be successful. And so now, by definition, because the budget has shrunk dramatically, we have less money in the state government. How do we now attract people to come and want to stay and create and grow their businesses in Pennsylvania? Well, we have to reinvent ourselves. We have to take this opportunity to reinvent ourselves, attack some of the establishment, and figure out ways to do things better in Pennsylvania so people want to be here in Pennsylvania, not because we're paying them to be here, not because we're subsidizing them to be here, but because this is the place to locate. This is the place to raise your family. And so, one of the first things we're going to do, as Kevin mentioned earlier, is pass Senate Bill 2, which is a joint and several liability reform called the Fair Share Act. Now, the first basic principle of this is a clear one: your fair share. If you are held responsible in some sort of action lawsuit, you should be able to be held responsible if the court so deems so, but you should pay what you're responsible for, not what someone else is responsible for. It's a pretty, I think our teenagers understand fair share. When someone gets in trouble, you get your share of trouble, not, you don't all get, well, this guy's mother's not going to punish me, so you get punished doubly over here, right? I mean, that's the basic principle. You get your fair share. And the importance of this isn't so much to help big business, which our opponents would say, and it will help business without question. But actually the biggest advantage of this is going to be for our hospitals, because they're always pulled into every lawsuit that's around because they look at them as deep pockets. And I can tell you, particularly with the Obamacare law, our hospital and hospital providers are under significant pressure. And so we need to do what we can to make sure that we have first quality health care, because when you are a corporation or a business that's wanting to locate in a community, what's one of the first things you look for as a place to make sure that what is one of the things you look for to make sure this place you want to locate? What's your health care like? What's your health care facilities like? Who here are Philadelphia Phillies fans? Cliff Lee's pitching tonight, right? Is Cliff Lee pitching tonight? Cliff Lee, part of the reason, I'm not sure not all, but part of the reason why he passed up more money in New York and why he passed up more money in Texas is because Philadelphia Children's Hospital is located in Philadelphia. And he had an issue with a child that he had to attend there when he was in Philadelphia before. That's a quality of life decision that was made to locate in Pennsylvania because we have a first-class health care facility right there in Philadelphia. We want to spread that to everywhere across Pennsylvania, every line of employment in Pennsylvania, that this is the place to locate. And so by having a less litigious society where people can practice their either entrepreneurship or their medical field without the concern and out the constant pressure of being sued. We want to have that freedom for our employees and employers to locate here in Pennsylvania and not have that concern. And that is a quality of life issue, which is so important. So there's an economic development tool at our disposal without spending a dime. Another area obviously is important when you're locating is education. I just met earlier today with a bunch of superintendents from my district, obviously concerned about the governor's budget. But when I met with them, and I was very impressed, they said, look, we can live with the less money. We can live with that. But just free up our hands so that we can be more flexible and deal with our budgets. And that's what we're going to do. We're not going to just give less money to our schools this year, because obviously we have less, but we're also going to do a lot of mandate relief and a lot of waiver reforms and things of that nature to allow them more flexibility to do their job. So they can do it with less money. And again, that doesn't cost us 1 cent. And then we're also going to empower parents, because ultimately parents are the most important part of any child's education. And empowering them and not having students stuck in a zip code that is failing them just because that is where they reside, we're going to empower those parents to say, you know what, if your school district is not doing the job, you're going to have the ability to go somewhere else, public or private, and you're not going to have to be wealthy to do it. That we're going to allow you that flexibility to move to another area so that you can make sure that your child has the best opportunity to succeed. And again, that doesn't cost the state taxpayers one dime. That's the important part. Again, making decisions, challenging the institutions so that we can improve upon Pennsylvania in different ways as opposed to trying to subsidize people to come here. And one of the other things I think is the most important, we have in state government, all these, we call it the alphabet soup of economic development. You have, small business development councils, you have the LDDs, the legislative development districts, you can go on and on and on. There's a whole bunch of, the IRCs, the resource centers, and they all, get money from the state to try to do things to help small business, which is good. We want to help small business where we can. But one thing we could do to help small business that wouldn't cost us one dime is to make Pennsylvania government work better with them. When all these cabinet secretaries have come in here and Tom Corbett has nominated just a tremendous cabinet. And when they all come to my office, whether it be PennDOT, whether it be DEP, Department of General Services, welfare, whatever it may be, I said, I spoke to the Restaurant Association last week, and there's not another industry that's more reliant on being customer friendly than the restaurant industry, right? I mean, you could go to a restaurant 10 times in a row and have a great meal. You have one bad one, you're probably not coming back, right? So they have to be customer friendly. They have to be out on top and making sure every time that you interact with them, you have a good experience. Why shouldn't state government be the same? Why should we be the hindrance to getting problems solved? Why shouldn't we be the facilitator to helping government solve your problem? I have a constituent that's working on he built a car wash in State College, Pennsylvania. And he has another business, but he helped build this for his son and his son-in-law and his daughter to get him started in business. If you would hear the red tape and the difficulty that he has gone through with PennDOT and labor and industry, and as a representative of the Commonwealth, I was embarrassed. Quite frankly, I was embarrassed. Why aren't we, I said to Alan Walker, our great new Secretary of DCD, who's a private enterprise businessman, very successful, I said, you should go around the state to all our state employees and educate them on being customer friendly. The Secretary of PennDOT told me he's going to reform the highway occupancy permit process, which I don't know if any of you ever had to deal with that, but trust me, if you're a developer, it is a nightmare. And it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars for developers to get through. And I said, if you can reform that process in a way that makes it more efficient, we'll build a statue to you at PennDOT, because you will do more for private enterprise than anyone has done in some time. But the old joke adage of we're from the government, we're here to help, that should be true. And that doesn't cost us one dime. That doesn't cost us a cent to be more friendly, to be more expediting in the process of it. When people have to come to state government and interact, that we can get things done. I think Tom Corbett is committed to that. And so there's just a couple examples of ways to reinvent Pennsylvania, and there's many more, that doesn't cost us anything, that's going to make Pennsylvania a more attractive place to locate, more attractive place to grow your family, to locate your family, to grow your business. And that's what we should be about. So, in these next few months, we're going to go through a budgetary process. It's going to be difficult. And we've already seen the rallies at the Capitol, and they're going to continue. But, we're going to live up to Governor Corbett's expectations of his promises to the people of Pennsylvania. And we're going to get it done. And then we're going to go about changing the institutions of Pennsylvania so that we are more business friendly, that we are more resident friendly, and that we're a place that Pennsylvania is going to want to locate, or anyone's going to want to locate here and grow their family. Thomas Paine said, and Ronald Reagan always liked to quote Thomas Paine, we have the power to change the world all over again. We have the power to change Pennsylvania all over again, and now's the time to do it. God bless you. Thank you very much.